your scenes, the ones you think that are really good, are actually terrible. They're too long, they have no direction, they don't fit your story, and nothing is happening. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that, but I'm gonna shoot straight with you because I want you to find success telling stories that matter. And I see too many writers post scenes online or want feedback from other people, and the scenes are just train wrecks that should not be shown to anyone. So before you make that mistake, I'm gonna give you a few things to think about and consider to help you evaluate your own scenes. Now, this is not a do this kind of list. It's a list of categories to consider when you're evaluating a scene, and hopefully you'll catch the issues and fix them before you start soliciting feedback from others. So, 4 considerations to help you evaluate the effectiveness of your scenes. Consideration number 1, trust your gut. Yes, I said that, and I realize you may not be able to articulate why a given scene is working or not. Maybe you're new, maybe you haven't learned the terms or understood how to apply them, maybe you don't even really know how scenes work, and that's all fine. But you've been around stories your whole life. You have an innate sense of what is good and what isn't. And when you read something of yours that you've written, trust your gut. If you think it's good, it might be good. If you think it's bad, well, it might be bad. Again, you may not be able to say why, but you know something isn't correct. And too many new writers ignore their gut. They feel like something isn't right. They read the scene, they're like, I think something's not quite right. But since they can't identify it, they think, you know what though? It must be fine. But you need to trust your gut. So consideration number 1 for evaluating your scenes, and this is a really important one, that's why it's number 1, trust your gut. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And then you have to do the hard work to figure out what it is. But you're at least starting from a place of knowing that scene has to be fixed. Consideration number 2, is there a story and or a character beat included? You know, most of the time, scenes that aren't working are missing both of those elements. Now, as a general guideline, each scene should have, at minimum, 1 story beat or 1 character beat. Now, ideally, scenes are doing more than one thing at a time, and the next consideration is included in this, but often new writers write scenes that are setting up a character beat or setting up a story beat, and they think that that scene is needed. Nope, it isn't. If all the scene is doing is set up, dump it altogether. You don't need it. You need to make sure there is a story beat, some element of the story that happens in the scene, or a character beat, some element that moves the character closer to or further away from their goal, or one of each in every scene. If both are missing, okay, the scene is more than likely not gonna work. It might be a fun scene, it might be a scary moment, it might feel like a good scene, but as a general guideline, you need at least a character beat or a story beat in every scene. Now, are there exceptions? Well, of course there are. This is screenwriting, but they're usually dealt with by consideration number 3. Is the scene enjoyable or juicy for the audience? The main exception to not having a story or character beat is the scene has to be satisfying to the audience in some way. Maybe it's a conversation between 2 characters that we've been looking forward to. Maybe it's an exciting chase. Maybe there's some eye candy. Maybe it's something fun. Maybe it's just a transition from one location to another. Maybe some secret is revealed about someone's past. The story doesn't need it, the character doesn't need it, but the audience loves it. And you have to remember you're writing a script that's meant to be read. So in the story you're working on right now, what's a scene the reader would be looking forward to reading? And if you can't think of one, okay, you might have some serious story problems. If you can think of one, is that scene in your script? And does it deliver? Scenes really do one of 3 things. They contain a story beat, they contain a character beat, or they entertain the reader. Now, ideally, they're doing all 3, at least they're doing more than one. But if you don't have at least one of them in your scene has problems there, Skippy, and you need to fix your scene. Consideration number 4, ask yourself this question. If I take the scene out, would anything suffer? Would the story suffer? Would the character arc suffer? Would the entertainment value suffer? And if none of those things would suffer, here's how you fix the scene. You delete it. Too many writers are afraid of the delete key. But I worked so hard on that scene. Okay, that's cool. Delete it. It's not serving your story or your characters or your storytelling, so get rid of the thing. And you have to learn to become ruthless when evaluating your scenes. There might even be a story beat or a character beat in the scene, so it's past the other considerations. And you think, well, I need them so the scene stays. But when you ask yourself if anything would be broken if you took that scene out, and the reality hits you that, well, actually, everything still kind of makes sense. Okay, you don't need the scene. And I mention this one because so many new writers I work with keep trying to fix broken scenes that they don't need in the first place. Here's how you fix it. You delete it, especially if nothing would suffer from it not being present in the story. So trust your gut. Make sure there's a character and or a story beat. Make sure there's something entertaining for the reader. And if it were removed, there would be no negative impact on the script. And these considerations will at least help you evaluate your scenes to know if they're working or not. Now, you're still going to have to do the hard work. You're still going to have to suss out the reason the scene is broken, if it is in fact broken. But you'll at least be able to focus your efforts where you need to do so. If you want more detailed help about how to build scenes and how to fix broken ones, I spend a lot of time in the fast track working through elements of scenes and building characters and all the stuff you need to know. So if you're wanting to find success as a screenwriter, get on the fast track. There is a link below. And if you want to learn 4 strategies you can use to fix broken scenes, watch this. There are fun buttons and links below. Use them. Whatever you do, trust your gut and don't write bad scenes. And when you tell a story that matters. See you later.